spring class. So he asked me to speak, thinking that this would be a nice opportunity for me to be able to congratulate my daughter from this position. How unique would that be and special? I agreed, and we kept it a secret from Stacy, intending to tell her at some point. Well, guess who got the surprise in about March of this past year when Stacy got credit for an internship that she had been part of and got to graduate with the spring class. So I feel somewhat like the body at a funeral. They put you up in front for everybody to see, but nobody really wants to hear anything come out of your mouth. And as all the parents in the room know well, I'm not complaining a bit about my daughter graduating on time, but there were only 2 reasons for me to be up here, and one of them vaporized 7 months ago. The other real reason I'm up here is because, as Dean said, I graduated from what we used to call the J School, now known as the Manship School. And I've had a measure of career success, and I've been involved recently with assisting the school, as you heard, but neither of those qualify me to stand up here for the primary purpose of delaying you from receiving your diploma. So let me go through the steps of the charge to the graduates speech that a commencement speaker is obliged to cover, and then we can move on to the real celebration at your grandmother's house or at whatever restaurant your family chose to dine this fine day. In light of the fact that I have absolutely no recollection of who spoke at my graduation, or what he or she said, I don't even remember the gender, I researched commencement speeches, and generally there are 3 things that a speaker must talk about at a graduation. 1, there's this, if I can do it, you can do it story. 2, there's a reminder of the tremendous history of this great institution and the wonderful attributes that come along with a degree from here. And 3, there's a lecture to the graduates about their new responsibilities and that the world is their oyster. What a concept. So here's what's supposed to happen this morning. A guy that you don't know or trust from a generation that has no clue about what you're interested in is supposed to say some things that will somehow help you figure out what to do with your degree. Let's not spend too much time on these items. Y'all are very cooperative. So under the if I can do it, you can requirement, you among all classes shouldn't and probably don't doubt that concept. You saw Mark Zuckerberg build and take public a digital social media company. Those are code words for a company with no assets. He built it and took it public this year for $104 billion. The realm of possibilities in today's world, under the heading of "You can do it," is as unlimited as it's ever been. Here's how it stacked up for me. Boy grows up in Grand Isle, a coastal fishing community too small for an AM radio station or a weekly newspaper. Nevertheless, boy studies journalism because he's intrigued by Watergate and the notion that investigative reporting is his way to save the world. Young man graduates, gets married, secures a job in media, figures he's not going to save the world as a reporter, and gets a sales job in the oil field. Through some hard work, great blessings, and some communication skills learned right here in the Manship School, moves up the corporate ladder, is part of an initial public offering, and winds up getting to make some life choices, leading him to taking over a distressed public company, turning it around, and gaining a reputation as someone who can create value for shareholders. That's a run-on sentence that none of my writing professors would be proud of. But the thing I'm most proud of is years ago, a very dear friend, a smart Cajun lawyer, said to me, "Alario, you're not the most successful guy I know, but you came from farther back in the pack than anyone I know." So here's the lesson. I started with exactly what you're going to receive in a few minutes, my degree, and that was it. In fact, I would say that if you're willing to work hard, stay committed, and sacrifice a bit of the near term in exchange for some life term, the advantage you have over me is that in my generation, I was competing with peers that define themselves by their career success. Your generation doesn't do that, and I admire you for it. We live to work. You work to live, and that's the way it should be. But don't miss the notion that you will shine like a diamond in a goat's ear. Yeah, I caught myself in that. If you let your boss know that you are willing to stay late and take on that extra project. I come to you in part as a potential employer. At my company, we study millennials, or Generation Y as you're known, because you and your peers represent a workforce that we must be able to recruit and retain. Our work in the oil fields is dirty, dangerous, hot, cold, and it's hard. But it's also rewarding, it pays very well, and for those willing to start in the field rather than in the office, we offer an opportunity to add a competency that very few will share. Let me share with you some things we've learned about your generation and how it contrasts with baby boomers like me, likely your first supervisors, and Generation Xers, that gap between me and you. Millennials feel entitled. I'll come back to that. You exhibit delayed adulthood, meaning you enter the workforce at an older age than ever before. You have your first child at an older age than ever before. Millennials are not tech savvy. They are tech dependent. Your preferred methods of communication are the text message followed by the email, closely followed today by social media. You consider a telephone call an invasion of your personal privacy. Compared to us baby boomers, whose identity is our careers, and Gen Xers, who are generally disloyal and skeptical, you are optimistic, in a hurry, and your identity is formed by everything but your career. You want to make an impact your first day at work. You disrupt the status quo, or at least you try to, and you will take a pay cut to work at something you believe in. Now let's jump back to my millennials feel entitled statement. And this next couple of sentences are for everyone in the room in my age group. What my generation has to realize is that all these things that make millennials the way they are, they never got cut from a team, they got a ribbon no matter how poor the science project was. Well, guess what, baby boomers? Millennials are the way they are because we raised them that way. So what's the point of all this? Pay close attention, because this is where the oyster gets shucked, and you get a little advice from someone that appreciates your unique abilities and works hard to engage you and yours at both a professional and a social level. As you enter your adult years and move into the workforce, you're going to compete with the entitled, the skeptical, and those on the taillights of technology. The biases toward your generation can work for you rather than against you if you embrace the things that your supervisors want to see in a rookie. If you demonstrate hard work, loyalty, and a willingness to trade instant gratification for some time in the trenches, you will stand out so brightly compared to your peers that you can't be missed. I encourage you to express your optimism. And as for the status quo, well, it ain't all that. I hope you change it. God knows we need it. It's been said that this generation doesn't need experience. They have the internet. Thus, they can get the information and the answers that way. I'm here today in part to offer this. Patronize your first boss's view that you do need experience on top of your Google abilities. And it's my bet that you'll stand out versus your peers. And it is that, my future stars of business and media, that will launch your careers. after that, it's up to you. And if you'll indulge me, the last thing I want to do before I leave is what I really wanted to do when I was invited to speak here, which was to congratulate my daughter from this stage. So with your permission, I'm going to call her. I may have to leave her a voicemail. Actually, we're going to try that again because I just called her once. Hey, honey. Hi, how are you? Oh, good. That's what I wanted to hear. Hey, listen, I'm here with a couple of people in Baton Rouge, and I come on the LSU campus, and it made me think of you, and I just thought I would call you and tell you how proud Mom and I are of how you graduated in 4 years and got a wonderful job and already had your first promotion, and how wonderful it is to watch all that and how proud we are. The speech went fine, thanks. I love you. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. So there's one other thing that sometimes commencement speakers do. I wasn't brave enough to do it, but they I don't know how they do this. I couldn't pull it off. They somehow find all these contemporary slang words and phrases that the young crowd uses, and they throw all this stuff together and at the beginning of the speech to make them think that we're cool and all this, and I couldn't even come close. But I had Stacy write my closing sentence for me. So this is for the fall class of 2013. Go out, take 1,000 selfies, twerk to your heart's content, because today you're all #blessed. And more importantly, you're officially graduates of LSU. Mad props, fall class of 2013.
Graduation speech in the nation that would feature a phone call to the speaker's daughter and a reference, let me get this right, you all know I'm not from Louisiana, to the oyster getting shucked. You can explain that to me later, okay? All right, that sounds good.